The silence becomes unbearable.
Hey guys, welcome back to Beyond the White Room. I'm Sophie Budak. I've created this show to reach out to inspiring individuals and, get a bit of a scoop into their life and their mentality. So today I'm going to be talking to someone who has built himself from the ground. He's built an empire. My next guest went from working in oil and gas to now one of the most prominent figures in the health and fitness industry in Australia. He's done so much in his short time on this earth. It's unbelievable, but I hear he's got new adventures, so I want to chat to him and see what's next. Ramsey, how are you?
I'm good, Soph. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. You're in Melbourne. Lockdown, how's it going?
To be honest, it's pretty rough. We've been in lockdown for since March, and we've had about 3 weeks in between where we got to actually go out, visit cafes, that sort of thing. But yeah, basically we are not allowed to exercise for more than an hour a day outside. We have a curfew after 8 p.m. So we're just desperately waiting to get out of this. I think there's another couple of weeks and then hopefully that's it.
How do you stay sane? Are you like catching up with everyone via Zoom, or what do you do?
I'm still working pretty hard. I've got a few little projects I'm working on, and my new business it's national. So we're selling franchises, I guess, interstate, and that's like a pretty big task in itself. But look, I'm just, I'll FaceTime people and whatever. We started Zooming at the start, but it just gets old. Like, I just really want to hang out with my mates.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Well, I hope it starts to get better and people just abide by the rules. But speaking of your business, so I met you a few years ago because like essentially you brought F45 to Darwin, and that was like, the best thing that hit Darwin in a hot minute. Like, I remember we were all going crazy over it. And then you had 2 franchises in Darwin. So you had like the only 2 in Darwin, well, Palmerston and Darwin. And honestly, I was like an F45 addict. Like, it was insane. That was like, when I say it was the best thing that hit Darwin, it was. But before that, you were in oil and gas, right?
Yeah, that's right. So I was a marketing manager in the oil and gas industry. And I was pretty young. So I was like, 22, 23, still sort of learning the ropes. I did marketing at uni and ended up going back doing a master's of marketing. But I fucking hated it. Like, I'd go to work every day. I'd actually sleep in. Like, I'd go to work at like 9:30, 10 o'clock. Yeah. And it was just so like same thing every day. And although like I worked with great people and everything like that, it was just not what I wanted to be doing. And I was getting lazy. I wasn't stimulated. All those sort of things that sort of happen when you're not enjoying what you do. So I desperately needed a change and luckily found F45.
Yeah, you were like living to work instead of working to live. So how young were you when you got into F45?
So I was 26 when I opened my first F45. So on the weekends, I used to run a nightclub, and the manager of the nightclub actually approached me and said he'd heard of this thing called F45. And I used to be a personal trainer as well, and I've got obviously background in marketing. So for me, it made perfect sense. It combined the 2 skill sets that I had. So he said, I found this thing, and at the time I absolutely hated what I was doing. So I was like, yeah, I'm happy to give it a go. So we jumped on a plane and we went to Bondi, because Bondi was like the 4th or 5th F45 that was open. And I remember rocking up and I just saw this like tiny, it was a really small F45, it was tiny. I just saw this little space and there was a line of like 30 people out the door. And it was pumping. There was a DJ, it was just going off, and there was 30 people doing a class, 30 people lined up, crammed in this little area. They're swapping over, they're giving high fives. It was amazing, best atmosphere I've ever seen. And I was like, I need to get into this. Like, this is amazing.
How many franchises did you own or co-own?
Yeah, so, cool. So we ended up having 6, me and my business partner. We started with 2 in Melbourne. Straight away we got 2, Port Melbourne, South Yarra, which are really like quite, you know, inner city kind of cool areas in Melbourne. And then we ended up just doing really, really well. We worked our asses off. We actually dragged a lot of the influencers from the nightclub and pulled them into F45, and they started posting, and we got this huge sort of social media following at our first studio. And then because we did so well, instead of just taking all the money and buying houses or whatever, we reinvested in another studio, and then another one, and then another one. So we had Port Melbourne, South Yarra, Ascot Vale, and then we got the 2 in Darwin, and then we got another one in Geelong, which is sort of an hour out of Melbourne. And then, yeah, and so that sort of kicked off the journey.
Fast track a few years, and then you've got Journey Retreats in Bali, which is like an all-inclusive wellness trip in Bali. Tell me about that.
Yeah, cool. So when you own a bunch of gyms, so we had the 6 F45s, also opened a yoga studio called Remedy. So I had this huge database of like 30,000 people, right, that had ever trained with us. And we were like, what's a really nice complementary thing that we can do you know, for our community? And retreats was just like, it was just probably the most sort of common answer for us. I took like 40 people over to Bali in like 2017 maybe. And, you know, my mum went, my best friends went, and we just sort of trialed this concept of basically an all-encompassing style of training. So, you know, one day you're doing strength, one day you're doing a HIIT, another day you're doing yoga, Pilates. You know, we're doing like nutritional guidance. So there's seminars around nutrition, mobility, even things like goal setting, and all the things that I'd sort of learned are put into together into one program. And we trialed it with these 40 people, and we had amazing feedback. So I decided to commercialize it and try and turn it into something special. So that's sort of how Journey Retreats was born. And then over the next few years, we had some really good partnerships. So the Keep It Cleaner girls jumped on board. You know, a big sort of plant-based community jumped on board, and we've just grown over the years. And up until COVID, you know, we're traveling really, really well, purely in Bali. But what we've done now is we've diversified, and we're looking at the sunny coast. So we are going to relaunch probably in October to hopefully run retreats in March on the sunny coast in Australia. So yeah, it's pretty exciting. And I personally reckon like everyone's just really keen to get out of here and do something like that, you know?
Yeah, and it's good because Journey Retreats is for everyone. It's not just like, you know, the fittest of the fit.
Yeah, that's it. And it's pretty personalized. Like, we make sure we have one trainer for every 10 people. And like, you'll get people who are super, super fit, right? And they don't really need any attention. They just go there, do the sessions, love it. And you've got people who've actually come to maybe work on a specific area. You know, they might be fat loss, it might be flexibility, it might be mindfulness. You know, they might want to work on other areas. So they'll spend a lot more time with our staff, but it kind of evens out.
When I get back to Oz, you can bet your bottom dollar I'll be there. All right, so I know it seems crazy, you're so young, and we've already talked about how much you've achieved, but the next thing, you've got Strong, which is, I guess, essentially rowing mixed with Pilates. Tell me about that. I'm struggling to wrap my head around the concept.
Yeah, cool. So it's pretty much a reformer bed with a rower attached to the reformer. My old housemate found it on Instagram, and she said, like, check this out. You know, we should really have a look at it. And it was this concept out of California. And at the time I'd broken my ankle, right? And I couldn't really do F45. I couldn't do a lot of high intensity stuff. And I really got into Pilates, and I really started to appreciate reformer Pilates and sort of that even just that glute, that core strength, all the fundamentals that you really need to build a decent base, which I never really had. So I was like, all right, fuck it. I'm going to jump on a plane. I'm going to go check out this concept, right? So I went to Newport Beach, California, jumped on this row former machine, and it was legitimately like the hardest workout I've ever done in my life. So you're going from like, you know, you might be doing a really, really heavy squat under resistance on the reformer bed, and then you're jumping on the rower and you're doing interval rowing, and then you're jumping back and then you're doing like a plank under resistance, and you're trying to catch your breath. And there's something about like the fast twitch and slow twitch fibers working together that just absolutely destroys you. And so I was like, I need to bring this to Australia. Like, it's amazing. There's nothing that's sort of high intensity but low impact, so also really safe. One thing we found is, and it happens with any sort of high impact training, is there's a lot of injuries, right? So this was a really like nice solution for that. So we worked a deal with the guy who created the Roformer. So now we own the license for Australia, New Zealand, Asia, and Canada. And now we're rolling out our own sort of version of what he's done, where, it's called Strong. We've really played around with the customer experience. So, you know, there's R&B when you're doing the strength side, and there's deep house when you're rowing. And when you're rowing, the lights come down, there's LEDs, they come out. You know, when you walk into the studio, we've created a scent, and it's got cognac in there because we play a lot of Jay-Z. Every locker has phone chargers so that you don't bring your phone into class. When you go into class, you're there to train. It's all about, you know, getting people in the zone as well, but there's also a community area out the front, so it is all about interaction as well. So we've really looked at the entire customer experience, and then put it into something that I believe will be very, very successful, and something that the industry really needs, because really there's only been reformer Pilates and no one's really evolved that. So we're really, really excited. We've got now 2 studios open in Melbourne. We've got another 3 sold across South Australia, New South Wales and Queensland. And there's 200 plus pending franchisee inquiries. In the background, because Queensland are open and can operate, we've actually got a studio launching on the 1st of November. So we're flying the team up there, and we're going to have to isolate in the hotel for 2 weeks, but that will launch and I can finally get some sunshine. I've never been this pale before in my life.
He's getting another fake tan, hey?
Actually, my girlfriend fake tanned me the other day. It was horrendous.
I know, that's why I'm making fun of you. Oh God, no, it looks really natural. I loved it, but yeah, good bit of vitamin D would go a long way. All right, Ramsey, thank you so much for talking to me today. I look forward to what's next with you. I want to end this interview on a kind of fun note. So not many people know, but you're actually a professional piano player. So do you want to take us out with a banger?
Sure. I don't know if it's a banger.
Well, it'll be good enough for us.
We'll set it up. So this is a little song that I wrote when I was 16.
Take it away.